Welcome to the Go Team Live, powered by Game On. Go Team Live is the community gathering for the Game On community. Game On is our system of wellness, the app that we can use on a daily basis. And what we do here with the Go Team Live is we have a look at the quality of questions that we can ask ourselves, which I think is how we create the quality of our life. Now, the title for the podcast is The Meaning of Life, and we are going to delve into a question that pulls out a little golden nugget of thought process that we can, check in and see where we're at and have another little look or, shift our perspective on something that we may not have thought about. Now, if you're playing this at home, you can pull out a pad and a pen and take notes, as Justin likes to do, or when the question pops up, you can journal that answer out. Game On is providing this community, and this is something that I really like to help bring a place that we can all gather and see the faces to the names that pop up on the feed. And just like that feed, we have the opportunity to connect and find, that questions are really a great place to start a conversation. So in essence, if you've got yourself a pad and a pen, just write down now, out of 10, how you're feeling. If you haven't got a pen and paper handy, maybe just on your non-preferred hand, put that up, and with your preferred hand, you can just write down where you're at, and don't think about it too hard. Whatever you think of now is probably the right answer. Now, introducing our guest, we have Kade Jungkurth, and Kade is a user of Game On, and I've been on Kade's podcast. He reached out and asked me to talk about mindfulness and how that affects the way I live my life, and sharing that information with his crew, because Kade is a genuine, for me, it's so exciting to have a guy like Kade in the world who's, clearly working towards fitness goals, but he's utilizing as many different tools as he can use to work holistically. And that is what impresses me and makes me, super excited to have a chat with him and see what he thinks and what he knows about what he's been studying and coaching for his clients. So welcome, Kade, to the Go Team Live podcast. So awesome to have you. How are you feeling today?
Good, Peter. I appreciate you having me, sir. This is my first live podcast like this, and this is really cool. It's good to have a little live audience. I feel like we're Oprah or something.
Oh, Kade does have some goodies to share with us later in the show, so stick around and see what you all get a prize. So it is going to be a good day. Now, I have invited Kade to share with us a short meditation, a grounding exercise that he's got for us. So if you are listening to this and you're driving, maybe keep your eyes open. But I'll leave it with you, Kade, to just guide us down that path.
Awesome, y'all. So this is one of the only times I've done a guided meditation. So bear with me. I hope I have a soothing voice for you guys, but go ahead, close your eyes. All right, close your eyes. With each breath in, I want you to fill your chest with not only oxygen and let your chest expand and get nice and big, but also fill your chest with confidence. As your chest grows, it's not only filling with oxygen, it's also you're bringing in that confidence for the day. With each breath out, let out carbon dioxide, but also let out anxiety, let out your fear, let out any self-doubt. Just let that escape your body. Breathe in confidence and expand your chest. Let your shoulders get nice and high and back. And then let all that fear, any fear you have, any anxiety, just let any self-doubt escape your body. You don't need it. Now take a moment and reflect on your week so far. Have you stuck to healthy habits this week? What did you think about it? Have you been sticking to healthy habits to the best of your ability so far? If so, I want you to take a moment, celebrate that. Celebrate your progress that you've made this week. If you feel like you could have done a little bit better, then I want you to take this moment, flip a switch, and decide to make a change starting right now. Napoleon Hill said, "Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you have at your command." Remember, life doesn't happen to you. It happens because of you. I'm going to say that one more time. Life doesn't happen to you. Life happens because of you. A couple more breaths in to bring in the oxygen and the confidence. We're breathing out carbon dioxide, letting fear, anxiety, any self-doubt we have just leave our body. Bring in a little bit more confidence. Let your chest expand. Let out that self-doubt, any self-doubt you might have. A little bit more confidence. Let that chest expand. Get your shoulders back nice and tall. Breathe out any fear, any anxiety, any self-doubt. And one more time, life doesn't happen to you. It happens because of you. Now go ahead and slowly open your eyes. Come back into the room. Get ready to take on the day. Be the best you.
Go
awesome.
On. Thanks, man. That was a great
Absolutely.
share. And it was your own unique styling too. I'm feeling the vibe of Kade right now.
I feel more relaxed now.
yeah. Not only relaxed, but feeling positive and on track. So Kade, my man, I am I'm in awe of you. You're clearly one healthy looking bloke. You weren't always like this though, right?
I was not. No, I was a very skinny, I would say like kind of insecure, unconfident kid growing up. I was always, even though just because of the way my birthday fell in the year, I was like the oldest one in my class or one of the oldest. But I was always like one of the smallest kids in my class. So even up until high school, even though, I played sports, football and basketball, all that, I was like 120 pounds, just a skinny kid. And that was always just something that made me not feel super comfortable in my own skin or super confident. So I decided I wanted to put on a bunch of muscle and just kind of take control of my physique and my health. And so it's been a journey, but I'm not super skinny anymore. And I feel like I actually went a little bit too extreme in that direction and, put on size maybe a little bit too quick, put on a little too much fat. And now I've kind of found my happy medium where I'm at now. So that's kind of my fitness journey.
Okay. Now tell me about body image. Like I think it's something we can all relate to. We're all different sizes and we've all got that for lack of a better reference, it's social media at present and things like that give us this, unattainable goals, maybe, or just a body conscious level. Like, what do you think? You've got people coming to you that are looking for, to shift the way that they look. What's your take on body image and like a healthy image?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my take on it, don't compare yourself to people you're seeing on social media. Don't have like someone else that, and I hear it a lot, actually. I hear a lot of people, they come to me and they're like, I want to look like this person. You shouldn't have that. It should be, you know, how can I progress a little bit and be a little bit better than I was yesterday? And it shouldn't even be all about that end goal. It should be about what you're becoming. Like, are you becoming a healthier you? Are you becoming a more fit you? And you want to define that very closely, but you don't want it to be all about like in 3 months, I need to have a six pack or this was all a waste of time. Right. So I think that's where not only body image is can be unhealthy for you because it's just something like an image that you're chasing, but it can also make the journey and make fitness unenjoyable because it's all about that end goal when really it should be more about the process. It should be, something that you enjoy sticking to each day. Because if you can't do that, then it's not going to be something that you can sustain long term. Right. So,
Yeah. Was there a pivot or some low point in your life that really sparked this growth pattern that you've chosen? Like, is there any challenges that you faced that you can put your finger on that really changed the way you do life?
for sure. So it's something I talked about on my own podcast a little bit on YouTube, but I did have a very low point in my life. I think it was a combination of just not living my life the right way, not being happy with the person I was becoming, and then also just coming into my career and not being happy with where I was at with that, but still trying to work super hard and just burning myself out. And I found myself in a really low mental point where I even had a gun in my closet, and one of my roommates at the time like basically had to wrestle me and take it from me because I was at a very low point, and I was thinking about ending things. And from then I decided to start seeing a counselor because obviously my mental state was not in a healthy place. And I decided, I need to make a change. This is not the way I want to think. And I think it really was a lot about my own thoughts because it all starts with us. Like, whether you're in a good circumstance in life or a bad circumstance, you can have thoughts that creep into your mind that can either serve you or make things a lot worse. And for me, my own thoughts were making things a lot worse. And at the time, I was just not in a good place. So I started seeing a counselor, started talking with someone that would, I would say, would be number one. Like, and I think it's especially with men, we tend to bottle things up and just kind of push it down. We don't share our emotions. We don't share anything with anyone. And I think talking with a counselor allowed me to, get my thoughts out of my head and start thinking. It's almost, it doesn't even really have to be someone giving you the perfect answers, is what I figured out. It's more about you hearing what you're saying and having someone listen. And that led to me eventually getting into journaling. And then so now I'm really into journaling. Obviously, I use the Game On app every single day, but I even journal in a couple of other journals. I'm just like obsessed with journaling now. But it's because you start to be really reflective, and it's almost like you get to be your own counselor, your own life coach. You can reflect on days, you can make sure you're grateful, you can tweak each day because you see what you're doing every day too. And if you're like, okay, I'm seeing a pattern here where I do this every day, it's almost like you get annoyed with yourself. I need to make a change and do that a little bit better. So I would say like counseling and journaling was that pivot, was that turning point for me. Even though I was fit at the time, that's the thing, is like it's not only about having a fit body, but having a fit mind as well. So
Okay, Cade. So your journaling has been something that you held on to, and then you've moved to Game On. That is that makes us proud to have you in the Game On community, and utilizing that skill that you love. You say you have a couple of different journals. Like, what are you? Are they in different places in the house, or what are we talking?
No, so I actually, before I even started using Game On, I just had a regular, just blank journal, and I even still prompt myself on these. So it's a little bit similar to what we have prompted in Game On with the gratefulness, awareness, um, intention, mindfulness, and organized non-doing, but it's a little bit different. There's a morning prompt and an evening prompt, and what I ask myself is just one thing I'm grateful for, which we already do in Game On. One thing I'm excited about. One virtue I want to exhibit. So I really like that one. One thing I want to avoid. So you start thinking about, what do I need to stop doing? And you start seeing patterns with those two. A lot of times it's like you start seeing, oh, I really want to start being like this, or I really want to start, or I really want to stop doing this, because you start seeing what you're doing every day with those. One thing I need to do today, so it just makes one really big prioritize, like I need to get this done, one big needle mover for the day. And then at the end of the day, it's just your biggest wins for that day, any big realizations you had, and then the top 3 to-dos for the next day. So that's one of them. This is going to seem crazy. I've got 3 different journals and Game On. So then this is one. Yeah, this is one I've started recently. It's the 369 journal, and it's actually very interesting. And this has had me, eventually I want to create my own journal. I feel like I'm doing show and tell right now, but I'm going to make a Fitness Junkie goals journal, kind of similar to some of the principles from the 369 journal, and then my own flair and fitness aspect to it. So basically what the 369 journal is, it's a principle from Nikola Tesla, and it's the principle that if you write one prioritized goal 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and then 9 times in the evening, and you're just constantly writing out this number one prioritized goal, it like ingrains it in in your head. And then my one goal, I haven't shared this with anyone, but my one goal that I've been writing out like a crazy man now is I will be the most impactful online fitness coach. So that's just what I've been writing out, 3, 6, 9 every single day. And then it's got your to-dos on the day as well, and you check them off as you go. And it's got affirmations built into the book. It's got weekly reflection built into it. And then the last journal that I have, other than Game On, is just a 1 line a day. So it's just a lot of times my big realization from that other journal, and then my 1 line a day is pretty much the same thing. But it's just like, what was the one big kind of mindset unlock for the day? And I just write that down, and it's really interesting. Maybe 5 years now, because I think it's a 5-year 1 line a day book. Maybe I'll go back and start reading, just see how my mind has changed. So
yeah,
I don't even think you know how mad crazy I was with all these journals, but I find it helpful. So
I find it fascinating, and that is awesome, man. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know you would have piqued Mark's interest with Tesla, and you would have piqued Justin's interest because he's the Game On developer, and he would be like, yeah, absorbing all of that. Yeah, he's taking some notes right there. We want to deliver one of the best journaling apps ever created. So, yeah, we are on board with what you got there, Kade. So thanks so much for sharing.
Absolutely.
So you're a coach. You've got clients online. Tell me, is there a consistency in what they present, or something that comes up that you find is, something that always they're asking or doing that you find yourself helping them with?
For sure. I would say the biggest struggle, and I know this is just going to seem like a theme. Maybe it's just because I'm thinking of it because I'm on this podcast, but as I've evolved as a coach, I've realized that coaching, in the beginning, I thought it was just people need an exercise workout program. And if they have that, they're going to reach their goals, right? It was just all about, I need to create the perfect program, right? And then it became more about, as I evolved, I was like, oh, actually people really need help with the nutrition side of things. Like if, it's less about the workout, it's more about nutrition. So I got really into that. And as I've evolved even more, I've realized the people that really need help, it's more about their mindset. So a lot of my coaching calls, and that's why I even had Peter on one of my coaching calls with my clients, is, a lot of them are about mindset now. And that's because if we can get your mind right, then it all starts there. And if you can get your mind right, then you're going to be able to take control of your fitness goals. So that's kind of an overarching theme I've seen. Like if we can get your mind right really quickly, and sometimes it takes as little as that first initial call. Like, I've had clients that have decided, like right from that initial strategy call, before they weren't in the mindset to have the right habits and achieve their goals. But then, with the right questioning and the right things to talk about on that first strategy call, it takes as little as that to kind of start changing your mindset, kind of flip the switch, and get you in the right mindset to really take control of the goals that you have and start creating the right habits in your life. So that's one thing I've noticed is, if we don't have you in the right mindset, or if you're not in the right mindset, that's something we need to figure out and progress towards and get you in the right mindset right away. And if we can do that, then we're going to be able to create the right habits and get you going. So that's one kind of consistent theme I've noticed.
Yeah. So what do you do there? Do you give them like the questions? Is it based around what questions they ask themselves? What's your tactic to help them find that?
For sure. So it's almost like I've kind of created journaling in my coaching in a way where, a lot of the questions I ask through the app that I use, or just texting them, it kind of starts getting them aware of what they're doing and reflect and thinking positively and things like that. So, every week I've got certain questions that I send out through the app. What was your biggest win for the week? Is an example. What was one thing you could have done a little bit better, this week? What's one thing I can do better to help serve you more as a coach this week? Things like that. Those are just some examples, but just constantly trying to get them in the right mindset, getting on coaching calls where we have a topic, and we're all in a community. We're trying to work on maybe things that we can do a little bit better, also celebrating our wins, and then just kind of fostering an environment where you're able to reflect, celebrate your wins, work on the things that you want to work on, and just get a little bit better day by day, week by week. So,
cool. As a fitness guru that you are, what would be like a simple step or a key takeaway we could pick up from you that would help us on our journey for being a little fitter and more physically adept? I don't know what the word would be. Make us buff. Make us buff in one sentence.
Okay. So it might be a little bit of a run-on sentence because it's hard to condense it down.
I'll give you a few sentences. Go for it.
But I would say, and I've made a post about this, just trying to make things as simple as possible for someone just coming in. But like if I had to start over and I was just like, all right, what's the simplest way to reach my fitness goals and make it fit my life, as efficiently and effectively as possible? I would say try to resistance train 2 to 4 times a week, because resistance training is not only going to burn a similar amount of calories as if you were doing cardio, but you're also going to be working your muscle groups. And as we age, if you're not working on your muscle groups, you're losing muscle. So you're getting more bang for your buck with the resistance training. So that's going to save you more time. So I would say resistance train 2 to 4 times a week, and that can be with weights, or it can just be body weight or resistance band training. I think people hear resistance training, they think they need to be a power lifter. Doesn't need to be that, right? But try to resistance train 2 to 4 times a week to burn calories and work on your muscle groups. And then set your diet up in a way where you can set yourself either in a maintenance, a surplus, or a deficit of calories, right? Depending on your goals. Okay. And it's not that hard. It sounds complicated, but there's a lot of different tools online, a lot of apps these days that you can easily figure that out. So that's how you want to set up your diet side. And then getting, I would say, at least 6K steps a day, but trying to shoot for somewhere between like 6 and 10K steps. If you're doing those three things, you've got resistance training 2 to 4 times a week, and you're progressing on that resistance training, and you're setting up your diet, whether you're trying to gain weight, lose weight, or just kind of maintain and be healthy. Set up your diet for that, and then make sure you're getting a lot of steps, because a lot of people are very sedentary these days. We've got a lot of desk jobs. And if you're just continuously moving, you're going to get your cardio in like that. And, that's just a really easy way to make sure that you're burning extra calories throughout the week. But you're getting that non-exercise activity thermogenesis is what we call it, the NEAT. And that's just allowing you to just get more physical activity throughout the week by getting those steps. So those are I know that was really long, probably more than you were asking for. But
no, we need results. We need results. We want to hear the full menu. No, you're good.
That's a good place to start for sure.
Yeah.
So,
thank you. Well, I'd like to open up to the question that you have for us. But first, I would like to check in with where your headspace was at when you were thinking about the question to ask.
Sure. So my headspace was literally, I was laying in bed last night, going to sleep, and I was like, I need to come up with something really good. So I was just laying there and asking myself, what is the meaning of life? It's just such a deep question. So I'm just laying there trying to come up with something good for you guys. But I feel like I came up with something that resonates with me. So yeah, that's kind of where my headspace was at.
Okay. Just kind of, yeah, the bed is a good place to think. I appreciate that. If you don't have a mountain and a tree to sit under, then the bed is probably the next best. Now, hit us, Kade. What is your question for the Go Team Live Meaning of Life Quest HQ?
My question for y'all is, I want you to ask yourself, are my daily and weekly habits causing me to progress or stay stagnant or even regress? Because I think a lot of times, it's our daily and weekly habits that dictate the quality of our life. And a lot of times, they can either be serving us, or they can cause us to feel a little bit stuck, or they can even cause us to regress, right? Because like I said before, if you're not working your muscles, over time you're losing muscle, right? So that you're even regressing if you're not focused on your career, doing the tough things, making the tough call, asking, having a serious sit down with your employer if you don't have your own business, asking for that raise. If you're not doing some of the things that you should be doing, then you can either feel stuck, or you can even be regressing. If you're not doing the right things, you might lose your job or you might go backwards in your business, right? So, in your relationships, you can either be, progressing. If you're working on things, your relationship can continue to flourish. But if you're not working on it, if you stop working on it, you become complacent, then you might, kind of stall out, right? So, and then, yeah, so to repeat the question, are your daily and weekly habits causing you to progress, stay stagnant, or even regress? Right. So I just want you to ask yourself that.
All right, I might go first, just to give people a little bit more time to put their answers together. And now I'll probably have a long-winded answer, as I do, but I find life to be so, there's so many ebbs and flows to life. where I've got my own morning routine, and that includes yoga, resistance training with a TRX on the door, do some core work, and then I have meditation and my journaling. And so that would be the most solid habit I have in my life. Now, that can get thrown about with, I've had some injuries recently, which made me have to change up the way I was running that. And then time-wise, some of those aspects get pushed out, which is half the reason I created Game On, so I could always add my journaling, which I value so greatly, into an efficient way of being accessible and effective. So I feel like I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm like progressing. I'd say it because of the way I do it, I'm maintaining, or you say stagnate. Is stagnant sounds like is that the middle ground? Because I don't know if I'm progressing on a physical level. Mentally, with the journaling, I believe I'm always gaining. I think that's one. But physically, if we're looking at physically, I don't know if I'm improving. I'm just staying the same. So how would you go about answering
I would
that, since
say,
you're a fitness guru?
yeah, I think that's a very interesting concept, and I was talking about this with someone I had on my podcast yesterday. He's at the point where he's actually had a lot of injuries. He's a little bit older. He used to be actually a boxer, and he can't even box anymore because he's taken so many hits to the head. Like, he's got these injuries and things like that. So for him, it's like these goals that he's been chasing for so long, he can't really progress in those specific goals anymore. But the way he thinks about his fitness now, and this is honestly a lot of the way I think about it now, is it's preparing you. It's almost like, think about it when you were preparing for a sport. If you played sports in the past, it's like it's preparing you. It's like the practice or the preparation for whatever you have going on in your life. So for me, it's like fitness not only prepares me physically, but I feel like it prepares my mind. Like, I feel like it prepares me for my job. It's almost like you put yourself through something tough, and you're almost like seeking out the struggle each day. And it's like you're progressing, even if it's not literally tangible, like metric driven physical goals that you're progressing towards. It's like you're progressing, you're getting a little bit better. And it's like you're working on yourself each day, and you're just becoming a little bit stronger. So I think if even literally, if your fitness level, feels like it's stalled out a bit, be trying to strive for that progress, be still trying to challenge yourself, still try to set some goals, and still try to move forward. And that's going to like prepare you to kind of take that skill that you're basically working on there. It's going to allow you to transfer that into life. So it's almost like, if you're an entrepreneur, it's like that's kind of your sport, right? It's almost like, I think about it as a sport. It's like I'm preparing myself to be, ready to perform, or ready to help people out, ready to serve. I'm trying to just like prepare myself. So it's almost like the practice of that. And if you have your own business, I was thinking about this, or sorry, if you work for someone else, I was thinking about this morning, actually, seeking out that struggle with your fitness, like, or even if it's not even something super tough, but like just having the discipline of, I'm going to drink. So I've got this big glass of water that I drink every morning. So like, I'm doing that first thing. Like, it's already hard. Like, it's not super fun to just drink a ton of water. But like, if I can get myself to do that, then I can get myself to do some other tough things. It's going to kind of start stacking those wins and have me start being able to tackle more things throughout the day. But if I can't even get myself to drink water in the morning, then I'm probably not going to be able to have a tough conversation with my boss about wanting to get a raise, right? If you can't even do some of these simplest things that are a little bit uncomfortable, but propel you a little bit forward, and have you feeling better, then that's going to prepare you for a lot of other things in life. So that's what I would say to that. It's kind of
normally when we answer this question, we just thank each other for sharing. So if anyone wanted to ask specific answers out of Kade, like I did, you're more than welcome to ask for his expertise. Or if anyone else has expertise that you know of that you'd like to ask them a question, feel free. But yeah, if anyone else would like to, I just want to add to that, just because I felt bad for being stagnant. I actually put up my I put up a my chin up bar in the doorway just this after late this afternoon. So maybe I am not stagnating at all. So yeah, if anyone would like to raise their hand, if they would like to share, there's no obligation that you have to share, but if anyone feels called.
Thank you for sharing, Peter. I appreciate it, and I don't mean to, I tell it how it is. You know what I mean?
I asked, man. No, I was looking for your guidance. Anyone vibing?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'll
Cool.
jump in. First of all, Kate, you're an inspiration, and
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And it's a good question. It's a good question. It's something that I've been, when you're aware of bad habits, and it's like there's an inner teenager that just doesn't want to acknowledge it, that sits there and goes, "But we're going." And as I was sitting there with your question, I realized it's like there's progress happening on every level. And I'm a very skinny human by nature, and thankfully still have core strength, my more active earlier years. But my weight has dropped massively over the last year, with a very hectic, stressful lifestyle, everything else. And it's only in the last couple of months that I've been able to witness, like you were saying about, planning those meals to gain weight, and really seeing, because for me, I always had this thing in my head, doesn't matter how much I eat, I never gain weight. Until I was not eating enough and I went down real low. And then I watched, like literally, I watched over the last couple of weeks, if I skip a meal during the day, because I can get very mental, very heavy, I can lose 2 kilos in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, can bring that weight back on if I just eat those, just 3 meals, just in that simplicity. So finally, I've been able to give that logical part of my brain the evidence, that, hang on, no, that's right there. So hearing you say that really landed home. And I look at my life and everything that's going on, there's progress happening, but it feels like I've got a weight on my back. There's like a lethargy that I have to push through sometimes, or use other tools to help support. And so what you've shared has kind of helped kick me in the ass to say, all right, enough excuses. I love you, teenage yourself, but it's time to buckle up and get back to doing some push-ups. We've got a chin-up bar out the back, and actually get some of that resistance training in, because that's the part I've been resisting. You see, my background is in once upon a time circus performing, where I've always found in my life that when it came to weights and the gym, it was just, it's very hard for me to do. But if I'm lifting people and we're playing or we're climbing or we're doing something like that. So I'm going to sit with that. I'm going to start with the push-ups and the chin-ups from your inspiration today, and I'll keep that going this week. So yeah, because I think you're right. It's going to help throw off that weight that I want in my body, not in my mind.
Right. That's cool. Thank you for sharing, Mark. I appreciate it. It's good to put a face to the name, because I think I see you on Game On a good amount. But yeah, cool. So I think just you sharing that, you probably got a lot out of that you're realizing. I mean, the fact that you shared that you enjoy, or you've been able to lift people and all that, like if you can somehow find a way to get that into your routine, try to make it something that you enjoy, because if you can enjoy it, then you're gonna be able to stick to it. And so yeah, it sounds like calisthenics is kind of similar to that. So if you can find a way to kind of like push yourself, progress with those things, then I think you'll enjoy it a little bit more. And then, like I was saying before, and I think you realize it for yourself, like not only skipping meals, not only is that gonna kind of hurt your fitness goals that you have, but that's probably, not serving you like in other things too. Like you probably don't realize it, but you might be a little bit hungrier at times, and you're not able to perform as good as you could if you were fully nourished and stuff like that. So, it may not even have something that's causing not the best performance physically, but maybe even mentally, it might help you out to get those meals in more, and just be more kind of physically feeling good and ready to go. So, but thank you.
I appreciate it, man. I got to say, Peter, Kade, you have such a beautiful way of delivering it. You've got this like such a gentle, caring, yet very strong, direct way of saying things. And I love it. So
I think it's taken a while to get like that. I think at first I wasn't gentle. And then maybe I hurt a lot of feelings. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to be a little bit more gentle, but still, say the things I need to say that they need to hear. So thank you.
Anyone else like to share?
I mean, I can answer the question for me very briefly, and it's like I can identify habits that are causing me to progress. I can identify them that are literally causing me to like stagnate and stay still. And I try to identify any habits that are going to take me backward. I try to identify those and make sense of those as soon as I can see them. And sometimes they are hard. Sometimes, like I love sleeping out in the lounge room and falling asleep on the couch, but I know I'm not going to get the best sleep. And I know it's going to affect me in the morning. And so, it's tough sort of keeping up with all these different habits that you enjoy doing when deep down, that they're not going to work out in favor for you. But yeah, no, that was an awesome question. That's one I think I'm going to reflect on quite often throughout the day and just be like, wait a minute. So thanks for that.
For sure. Yeah, I think something I've talked about in other podcasts that I've been on is like kind of doing a self audit. And I think that helps us a lot of times. It's like kind of just doing an audit of all your habits, do an audit of kind of what you're doing on a daily and weekly basis. And I think it's really hard. It's hard to do. It's even hard for me to do sometimes. I'm sure like if I just started like auditing kind of what I'm doing, it's a constant thing because I'll find things each week that like I could be doing better at this, and I can cut out some of these habits. I can add in or do a little bit better with these habits, right? It's not like it's like you're either doing it or you're not. It's like it's kind of it's not black and white. It's how well am I doing these things? How not so well am I doing others, right? So it's just you can be like always doing these self audits and seeing where you can improve or do things a little bit better, do some things more, do some things less, and things like that. So
I love that. Yeah, self audit. It's a really simple way of thinking about keeping on track. Like keeping on top of it. It's awesome. I love it. So
thank you, and thanks for sharing.
Well, I guess, can you guys hear me? Okay. I guess, the self audit just triggered me because that's the words I was using when I wrote your question down, and then I wrote it down a second time in my words, and translating things. And I've had a huge growth over the past 5 years, but especially in the last probably year and a half to 2 years, just recognizing me as an individual. As a parent, you put your kids first. And as a parent, you put everything, the household, everything that way. And then I became a single mom for a few years. And so it was even twice as much. I used to do triathlons, and it's quite funny for me to look at myself now and go, how the heck did I do that? But starting to recognize, to talk about what made me thrive years ago, not looking back at my life in a negative, but in a positive of like, I used to do that. That was exciting. I don't think I could ever do it again just because of some of the injuries I had and everything. But what could I do to get me excited again? So that self audit, I got to review. I wrote review my daily stuff, but I think the journaling has been a huge thing for me personally. Just especially with Game On, you don't have time, you don't have anything. I find myself sitting at a traffic light trying to answer one of the questions, and then go, okay, did I actually hit send? And half of them I never hit send, but the fact that I'm just doing some of them and getting 2 or 3 of the questions down, has been amazing. So I'm starting to really look at that side of life. Right now, my foot is actually in a cast, so I can't do anything. I can barely walk down the stairs because the cast is so big. But it's the fact that you recognize, okay, I can't do that, but I can actually do something else. And I was literally making dinner last night doing squats. It's like I'm so overweight and out of shape from what I feel myself is to be, but I'm at such a happy place in my life. So it's like the acceptance of I'm really happy, so I would place myself, I'm stagnant. but I have a lot of habits to review. So where in that, in mindset, what would you suggest to kick myself in the butt to kind of like go, okay, well, the physical side is huge with your mental side, which is which then affects your emotional side, which then affects your physical. For me to be me as a whole person, I know I have to put me first to make my household, my family, my life 100% better. I know that, but what would you suggest on a simple physical side to help stress that and push that forward?
For sure. First of all, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. And then also, so I really am glad that you added that last part in about, you have to take care of yourself first to be able to take care of your household, right? Because actually I've got these 4 core values that I've got written down on the other side of my computer over here. But one of them is we can't pour from an empty cup, right? So if we're not taking care of ourselves physically, and we're not feeling the best we could about ourselves, then we're not going to be able to pour into everyone else that we love and care about as well, right? We got to love ourselves first, feel good about ourselves. That's going to prepare us even better to love others and serve others and be the best we can for them, right? So that's one of my core values. I'm glad you said that part at the end about wanting to take care of yourself first so you can be the best for your household and everything. And then I'm going to say this is going to maybe hit hard. It's going to maybe sound a little bit harsh or cold or callous, but I even fractured my ankle. I was in a boot and I was still going to the gym. I was literally going around on crutches, and I was just doing upper body. And I was doing a push pull. So I was doing chest and triceps or back and biceps, still 4 or 5 times a week, while I was healing in a boot. So I just wanted to add that in as my own personal anecdote. I know, so I know it sounds harsh, but I try to
that's what we need, though, the harsh, it is true. You can still get up and go and you can still do things, and I'm still up to a small degree, but I know it's a good excuse. It's an excuse.
Yeah. I always try to add in these little personal stories of mine into my coaching calls and into my little check-ins with people, where it's I'm constantly just trying to provide examples of ways that I'm trying to overcome, things that come up in my life, because there's constant things all the time. There's always going to be barriers. There's always going to be, things that make things tough on both the diet side and the workout side. But, over time, if you reflect, you're doing these self audits, you realize these things and you kind of pay attention to your habits, then not only, like you said, you're flourishing in other areas, you'll be able to start becoming more aware of things fitness wise that you can improve or things like that with your habits. But one thing I wanted to put a pin into with what you were saying is, maybe sometimes it might feel like you stall out, in certain areas, right? You're not always going to be on a perfect linear path on everything, right? It's unrealistic to expect, but that's why at this point in my kind of fitness journey and just my journey in general, I've got all these different things that I'm trying to optimize. And if I'm getting 1% better in one area, even if I'm stagnating in another one day, if I'm getting 1% better at something every day, then it's going to feel like you've got that progress in your life. So, but just make sure you're trying to be aware and just doing what you can in all those areas. And I think that's going to help you feel fulfilled and feel like you're putting in effort and, feel like you're doing your best to become the best you and be able to, serve you and serve others, because you're becoming the best you that you can be. So,
yeah, golden answers. Thank you very much. That was incredible share. And I'm, Kade, I've said it before, when we talk, I like you more and more. You're a legend. You really have got, you get my buzz on, you get me feeling like, I could do more in my life. I could be better. And it's not coming from a place of, a negative place. It's coming from an inspirational place. So I appreciate, and that 1% rule, that's just a real good one to be able to help us, my previous, my business was called Kaizen Wellbeing Worldwide, and Kaizen is, continuous small improvements for your well-being, your body, mind, and your soul. So, yeah, super impressed with the answers you give the community, and stoked that we could get on the call together and share that knowledge.
Absolutely. I had a great time. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up there. So I'd just like to close by thanking everybody for turning up, being part of the Game On community, and gathering as we do, and just seeing the value of the questions that we ask ourselves creates the quality of life, and as a community being able to bounce around ideas and lean on the knowledge of each other as a community, we get so much further. And there's been mention of Game On throughout the podcast, and we are working to develop Game On to be the best that it can be, and gaining 1% everywhere we can to help that become the most efficient and effective tool that we can use. So whether you're a coach, a PT, you run a high performing team or an organization, just being able to involve your team in something like Game On, and helping them get those questions to the forefront of the mind to improve upon the life experience day by day, and together finding our way to win the day. It's creating community, it's creating that proactive, preventative mental mindset that is so important to build resilience, and a way that is unique in this space to be able to come together in a team. So appreciate all of you coming in on the Go Team Live podcast. It's so exciting to have your faces here, and thank everybody. Would anyone like to comment on the way out? Has anyone got anything they'd like to share at the end here?
Isn't this the part, Peter, where you're supposed to say check under your chairs because there's a surprise for you?
That's true. That's true. We were going to talk about Kade's bundle of joy, and you're very right. We've got Kade. What have you got for our audience?
Yeah, so I've got a free course for you. So if you're interested in furthering your education in nutrition, training, and mindset, then I've put together a pretty extensive and comprehensive course that you can go through. It's completely free. So if you're interested, you can either just reach out to me, or maybe Peter will put the link in the show notes. But yeah, got a free course for you. So you get a course, you get a course, you get a course with the Oprah stuff.
Go Kade, go Kade, everybody, go Kade. All right, everybody, thanks for joining. Love your work. Go team.